Hi, this is Roger. Welcome to my channel, and thanks for dropping by for another random selection of cutting room floor clips. Hope you enjoy them. I'll try and knock a couple of requests out as I'm going round today, if I remember while I've got the plant around. Somebody asked how my mounted brassica was actually doing, and simple answer is not bad. It's pushed out a massive root system since it was mounted. A fair few of these aerial roots are very difficult to hydrate, and they seem to only start to hydrate as they age. So now this is the one that's been there the longest and is branching. You can just see I've poured water over and over that. It's only just breaking the surface of the velamen. So it's only just getting hydrated a little bit. Now obviously if I dunked it and soaked it and left it for half an hour, all these aerial roots would turn green. But it's not absolutely necessary to get them bright green on the grounds that a lot of the roots are in the moss, which will stay wet some time and they will hydrate fine. So I'm not too worried about the aerial roots. A brassica wouldn't normally have that many aerial roots. It would push them downwards into wherever you pot it in. But the base of that second bulb back, or forward, depending on how you want to look at it, does have an eye that looks like it's going to move. And at the base of the latest growth there looks like one as well. Although that latest growth is now virtually mature, I don't think it's going to get much bigger. I don't believe it's going to bloom. If that was going to push a spike up and it has a similar pattern to other brassicas, it would have done it before that bulb matured. So it's probably not going to bloom on that one. But I mean, you know, it only had a couple of pseudo bulbs and it was quite an immature plant when I was given it. So anyway, it's coming on. Doesn't cause me any hassles, lives up in the roof with its back to the sun, or the back to the brightest light anyway, so it doesn't get the brightest light on the shelves. You might not know what I mean. Light comes in from that end, basically. That's the direction the strongest light comes in. So if something's on that's going to be very badly backlit. Well, for obvious reasons. So if it's on this side of that rack, it's got its back to the brightest light. However, if it's round this side, it's facing the brightest light. So that's all I mean by having its back to the light. You say these vague things and then not explain them. Anyway, mounted brassica, not doing bad. Coming on. This brassivola's still going. It's dropped one bloom so far. So we've got 3 on the first spike and still 4 on the second one, and fragrance is still really strong in the evenings after dark. But why I wanted to stop on this one is both of these leads, you can see where the sheath starts to split and the swelling is, so that's 2 new growths coming on this one. I was hoping that it was going to split again. It may or may not, it can still do that, but the 2 leads are going to continue. So that's good, and presumably there's no reason why those 2 new growths won't bloom when they mature. So yeah, that's coming on nicely. I'm surprised those blooms are still going. I didn't imagine them to be that long lasting, but then last time it bloomed was its sort of first time and it only had 2 blooms on it, I think. So yeah, they're lasting well. Well pleased with that. Very pleased, in fact. It's I can tell how long it's been around because that got a first at the Wessex Orchid Society. That's my sort of second society that I go to, and you know, their next meeting is coming up in the not too distant future, and it's still in bloom. So it must be lasting well. Pleased with that. You're probably not going to be able to see this. Just watered this one. I always have a good look over my plants when I water them. This is the Arangus Mr. Sidii, but I might have to brighten the clip to get you to see. Right down in the base, in that dark bit, there is something growing. Now, this is an unbloomed plant, but it is big enough to bloom. I mean, this is a miniature version of an Arangus. There's something growing down there. It could just as easily be a root, but it doesn't look right for a root. So that could be my first spike on there. As I say, I'll have to brighten the clip electronically, so that you can see what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, that'd be nice if that's going to bloom. Okay, I've got to film this plant closely now from a very specific angle so that I can check against this video clip frequently. So for obvious reasons, we took a couple of leaves off because they looked a bit spotty, yeah, and I didn't really like the look of them. Well, I'm now going to film individual leaves because that leaf is spotty, that leaf is slightly spotty, so is that one, and these are all first leaves off the new growths. They push up to 2 or 3 leaves. That one is quite bad, and that one, and that's an old leaf, and when I looked at the leaves last time, that's one of the ones I nearly took off and ended up leaving it there. I don't think that one's actually got any worse, but it is a trifle worrying. I can't imagine that would be, there's that one as well, that was one of the other ones that was already there, but this is a trifle worrying. If that's a virus, it doesn't look to me like ring spot virus, but it does show up differently on different plants. I've only ever had that once. That was on a zygopetalum, and that plant wouldn't have been anywhere near this one, but it would have been near a hell of a lot of others, so I can't see as it's spread anywhere. It looks like it's plant specific. I've had this plant quite a while now. Seems funny it should suddenly show signs when it's so busy growing, but anyway, this has now got to be kept quite separate, because there's quite a few leaves that have changed. And then, you know, literally in 2 days' time, I will put that plant down at exactly that angle on that table, with the only bud pointing towards the corner, the hook facing away from me, and I can even replay this video clip on the computer and see it from here and actually mirror what I've just done and do it in a few days' time to see if any other leaves are affected, the ones that I've just looked at closely have got any worse or not. And the other thing, by totally separating this out, it means it is coming down out of the light anyway, because where it was before, it's touching other plants. Too late, you know, it's done the touching, but the sort of plants that it's touched are highly unlikely to get that sort of thing. That's not going to get ring spot. It just isn't. But yeah, I've got to keep a close eye on that now. I'll be quite annoyed if I've lost that one. That's a really good specimen plant, but these things happen. So no panic yet, but I'm pushing it to one side. Right, that's it. It's going down there. So it can't drip on anything, it can't get near anything else. And if this is what I think it is and it's going to take off, it's only going to take me certainly no more than 4 or 5 days before I know for sure. So the fact that it's down, you know, in, well, I wouldn't call it heavy shade, but it's certainly not in the light level it was used to, but that won't matter for that amount of time. The most important thing is to identify whether I have got a ring spot virus in that plant and not let it near anything else. Trouble is with the virus, it could have been sat in that plant for flipping ages, you know, but there's no signs anywhere else. So, and where it's been, as I say, the sort of plants it was anywhere near are highly unlikely to get that. That tends to take a hold on things with softer, flimsier leaves. So it's not, you're highly unlikely to get ring spot on, say, things like cattleyas or chunky leaf dendrobiums and things like that. It tends to hit the oncidium types, can get on brassicas, and I mean, this is a maxillaria, but it's unusual leaves for a maxillaria type plant. But it's those sort of leaves. It can get on cymbidiums as well, but it's the sort of things that have got that sort of leaf on it. But the other thing I'm just going to do, highly unlikely, is get my magnifying glass out and have a close look at those leaves, just in case we have any little mites. But for them to have left marks like that fast, I'd see them from here, you know. And normally they hit the underside of the leaves first, not the tops. So, you know, and they don't like humid atmospheres, so chances of me getting spider mites are relatively slim. But yeah, we need to keep our eye on that. Close eye. Just preempting suggestions, there's no point in spraying this. There is no cure if it's a virus. If it's a virus plant, it's out. There is no recovery. They don't grow through it, they don't get better, and there is no spray that will deal with it. Yeah, if it's in the plant, it's in the plant, and the plant is doomed. It normally happens pretty quick as well. Oh, fogged all over the place here. I'm not quite sure where that sprung from. I don't remember that bud pushing on, so that's sprung up a bit quick. That's one of my new dendrobiums, fleckery, whatever you like. One eye anyway. Yeah, it's got a bud. Yay! And if it was going to bloom, I'd have expected it to do it on that large right hand cane, which is its latest growth, but nope, it's decided to chuck a bud out from halfway back down the plant. Oh, it'll be interesting to see what that's like. That's another first time bloomer. We like these. Talking of first time bloomers, somebody asks how Rhodostictum's doing. Well, that's how it's doing. That bud is swelling nicely. The other little bud obviously isn't going to develop now because I thought it was going to have two. But the new growth on the plant's pushing up nicely. But yeah, that bud's swelling good, so there's no reason why that shouldn't open. And it's not a race because that one's a lot more advanced than the one I've just shown you, but this is still going to be my first Latoria bloom, and it's a nice one. You blast, there'll be trouble. Little tiny changes that I watch out for. I mean, this plant's pushing out a nice new growth at either end. It's been in quite bright light. That leaf is paler than last time I looked at it. That's too much light. It shouldn't be pale. You can see the mature leaves are quite a dark green. Now obviously the young leaves aren't that colour, they have to mature first, but that leaf is paler than it was before. It should never get paler, it should stay the same or get darker. So that's got to come down from where it was and find another place that with not quite so much light. Okay, just a little curio. I know we get variation in colour density and bloom size and things on hybrids. That's something that just happens. But these are the typical flowers on this particular hybrid, Tolumnia peach. They open quite yellow, and then as they get a bit older they start to get their peachy tinge around the base, and they are very attractive. But then suddenly it decides to do that and have two red spots. What's that about? And there's another one round here, it's got a couple of spots on one side. I'm pretty sure last time it bloomed it didn't have any spots. I don't know, they just do strange things sometimes, but that's the thing with hybrids. You know, there are traits of other plants in there, and they're often suppressed by dominant genes, and every now and again you'll just get a little one of those buried traits come through, and that quite honestly is all it is. You know, it's like when you've got no ID cats, let's call them that. You know, and you get a litter of kittens and they're all black and there's one ginger one. You know, they're just traits that go back through their history and just come forward now and again. Anyway, that's actually quite pretty with those two red dots. Now, wouldn't you know, that's something a hybridizer might look at and think, I wonder if I could bring that trait out and actually produce a new hybrid with those colours that always had those red dots and try and get them bigger. Yeah, you've got about 10 years to spare. And probably the rest, actually. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you didn't, you know what to do. And if you want to see more videos like this and my other videos, including culture, care, repotting, mounting, and mainly orchid related topics, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way you won't miss out on anything. And thanks for dropping by. See you next time.